Nice to meet you.
Hello, how are you?
Great, thank you. How about you?
I am also fine.
Thanks for sharing your time for the
Yeah,
interview. Okay, I think we can do the interview questions one by one to be systematic.
yeah, sure,
Yeah,
no
okay.
problem.
Okay, let's do.
Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so first, please introduce yourself briefly, please.
Okay. So, my name is Moaz Razak, and I am a PhD student at Kyungpook National University in Department of Computer Science. And I basically did my master's from here, from KNU, and now is my first semester in PhD. So, it has been almost 2.5 years here in Korea.
So, how do KNU students and local residents treat the Muslim community?
You mean the
Yeah, the atmosphere, overall atmosphere.
sorry, I cannot hear you
Okay,
properly.
okay. So I mean the overall atmosphere of the students and the local residents to the
Mm.
community. Yeah.
Okay, so actually, before the start of construction, it is very important to take it into consideration that this place, which we are constructing right now, so this is not some new place, and we have been praying in the same place for past 7 years. So in past 7 years, like our students used to pray here, and we didn't face any kind of like discrimination or like hate speech or harassment from the residents. So it never happened. And normally, like our relation with the residents was very smooth, very cool, and we didn't face anything like this before, what we are facing right now. So as like as an evidence, we I can just say that if there was any issue, of course the resident will have reported to the local authorities, or we have reported to the local authorities. But before starting this conflict, everything was very normal.
How about these days?
These days, actually, it's quite embarrassing for us because the few of the residents, few of the neighbors that surrounds the mosque, living nearby the mosque, so they are behaving quite not what we expected of them before, and not what we used to know them, how we used to know them. So they are not behaving like that. And apart from that, actually, there are many people coming from outside who are doing these activities, like uh, uh, chanting slogans against Islam or promoting Islamophobic content. So the immediate neighbors include. We think that they are not that much involved. Now they are involved, but initially this all thing was started from some outside parties, and like they involved, and they, because the immediate, you know, that the immediate neighbors are very less, like the number of houses that are connected directly to the mosque, they are few in number, like 7 8 houses. But when we used to see the rallies that were against the Islam, specifically they were against the Islam, not the mosque. So those rallies were consisting of many people, which we didn't even know, which we didn't even saw here before. So that's like what is going on. And right now, like in these days, they have blocked our way to the mosque, and they are not allowing us to start the construction, because we have the orders from the court that we can start the construction, because everything is legal. But they have like placed some parked some cars in our way so that our construction cannot be started. And very it's very disappointing that the local authorities are not doing anything, including the police.
Okay. As far as I know, the Muslim students has filed a lawsuit to resume construction. This is the all I know. I knew. So I'd like to ask the current status of the conflict. over the construction?
Okay, so yes, we have actually filed lawsuits in the court, and actually we were forced to do that because personally, in the very starting, like in February, our construction was stopped because the residents claimed they filed a petition. I think some petition or some sort of in district office, and district office suspended our mosque construction. So from that day, we knew that we were totally legally right, and we can go to the court and we can win the case. But we didn't do that because in the initial months we thought that because still we consider the neighbors as our family, and at that time we also all of our community we gathered and like we discussed this issue, like what we have to do, and all of the community was agreed on this thing, that actually it's the problem between neighbors and us, so no third party should be involved, including the court or police or anything. So we should talk to the neighbors ourselves and sort out what problems they have from our mosque construction, and then we will try to address those problems. So the matter will remain inside the family. And we did it. We tried to negotiate with them, but unfortunately, all was in vain, and they were not ready to negotiate anything. And at that time, like whatever they asked us, like there were two main problems which they pointed out, and we addressed those problems. Like they said that there is odor of food and there is noise. So we told them that okay, if these are the problems, we will address this in our new structure. Like for if you say that we cook food in the mosque and there is bad odor coming, so we will install long chimneys so that the odor of food evaporates in the open air and it doesn't come to your houses. Although this was very funny uh, thing to accuse us of, because we as a Muslim students, we are living in their houses. So the house I am right now belongs to a Korean, and we cook the same food here in this house too. So it is quite shocking that the smell of food that is cooked in their house is not a problem, but the smell of food that is cooked in mosque is a problem. How is that so? But still we assured them that it's okay, if this is your problem we will address it. And the second thing, like they asked us that there is noise whenever you pray, there is noise. So this problem, this was also very like it's a debatable thing, that how we produce noise during prayer, because anyone who have watched how Muslims pray, so he or she can know that when Muslims are praying, so actually one person is speaking, and it's called the imam, and all the other people, doesn't matter if it's a 10, 100,000, 2,000, how much, it doesn't matter. The person who is speaking is one, and all the other people are not allowed to speak a single word, because if they speak, their prayer is no more valid. So it's not a problem. But still we assured them, okay, if this is the problem in our new construction, we will install soundproof walls and soundproof windows. So these were our solution. But actually all of those negotiations went in vain. We didn't conclude it to anything. Then we went to court after almost, I think, 4 or 5 months, when we were totally disappointed from the local authorities. So the current status of this lawsuit is like there is a decision that is to be expected, because like one case, the court has already given us order to start the construction. But there is one other case going on, and the decision is expected to come, I think, in the first week of December. So we are also waiting what that decision will be.
So, are the local residents are refusing to communicate with the community?
Yes, they are not ready to talk to us. Not only us, there are some Korean professors who are helping us, like from the sociology department, and they tried to meet the residents. But when they came to meet them, so they shouted at them and they abused them. So after that, like those professors also didn't want it to meet them. So they are not ready to negotiate anything.
Yeah, it's quite unreasonable.
Yeah.
So the next question is, as far as I know, the new mosque construction site is very close to the residential area. So I think that's the main reason that residents are strongly opposing the construction. So I wonder, is there a reason why the community chose that place?
Yeah.
Mm.
So actually, as I said earlier, that this is not the new place. We bought this place 7 years ago in 2014. And in 2014, we started using it as a mosque. And like from past 7 years, we didn't use it for any other purpose, only for prayer purpose. And all the residents knew that this place is being used for prayer. And many students are coming and they are praying and they are going back to labs. So why we choose this place, it should be understandable when you understand our situation. So our situation is like we are students. So with students, you know that we don't have any foreign funding. We don't have any organizations that are backing us. It's just us students, and we collect the funds from ourselves. So each month I will give a little amount of money. So and you know that students are a little like not that much rich, so very limited available funds.
Yeah, that's
So the
right.
first thing is that at that time we had to buy a place that is cheap for us. So this place was the most cheapest place and around the KNU. Second thing is that as we are students, we cannot go far for prayer because our prayer, two of our prayers or three, sometimes three prayers, sometimes two prayers come during the late times, like between 9 to 6 p.m. So we have to come and go back within 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. So including the prayer time. So this place is, if you ever visit the Daegu, the Kyungpook National University, you can see that it is very close to the West Gate, like 5 minutes walking distance. So it's reachable to all of the students from every department of the KNU. So they can easily come and go back. So these were the two reasons: the closest place to KNU, and second one, cheapest place. So that's why we bought it in 2014, this place, and still we are using it as prayer place.
Uh, in fact, I recently visited Daegu and interviewed some residents about this conflict. So I heard many regions they opposed the construction, but
Yeah.
I think there were some reasonable reasons and some are some unreasonable reasons. So what do you think is the most unreasonable among the reasons why residents oppose construction?
So first thing is like that I usually highlight in the interviews is that if you see how residents are responding, how their opposing rallies are going on, and how they are uh, like if you see the president, they submitted a petition on president website to have some signs. So actually, if you see that petition also, and you see that what the residents did to us during the protest, like calling us terrorists and like hanging the banners about Islam. So they didn't stick to the mosque issue. If it, my main point is that if the issue was mosque, the construction of mosque, then they should have always mentioned about the mosque. Why they targeted our religion? They targeted us. They said you are terrorist, right? They said they spoke foul language about our religion, Islam. They organized rallies in which they misinterpreted our religious book Quran. They picked some verses out of context and they misinterpreted those verses. So all of, and also they distributed pamphlets about Islam, against Islam, and misinterpretation of the Quranic verses, and they distributed in the whole Dehi and Dong. So from their actions, whoever, any neutral person who is seeing this everything, so he can raise the question that initially the residents were against mosque, the construction of mosque. So they, like, if I'm against the construction of mosque, I will focus on only the mosque issue. Why I am dragging someone religion? Why I am accusing the students of the KNU that they are terrorists, and why I am harassing them? So the most unreasonable thing is this. So the people of Korea, who I expect to be wise enough, they should ask the question from the people who are protesting that, okay, we agree you have problems with the construction of mosque, but what you are protesting is totally against what you are claiming. On one side, you are claiming that we are against the construction of mosque only in the residential area. But on other hand, you are saying that if the mosque is constructed, the whole Daegu will be Islamized. This is so it means that the problem is not the construction of mosque in a residential area. The problem is Islam. The problem is the religion of students, right? In one interview, they said that we feel threatened when these people walk in groups. So it means they are against our existence. If you ask me to change my like my clothes or my skin tone, I cannot change it. This is my natural things. So the things that which they claim, and also like the changing statements. So initially their statements were like the bad odor, and then only the noise problem. When we address those problems, then they said no, we will not allow a religious to build in residential area. Then we said, okay, if this is the point, there is a church very close to the mosque, very close to the mosque. You can see it's only like 1 minute, not 1 minute, only 30 seconds by walk. And if you stand inside the mosque, you can see the church. And this is not the only church. There are many churches, but they say that these churches belong to Korean. So then it means that the claim you are making that we will not allow any religious place to be built, this is wrong. You are just against the construction of mosque. You are not against the construction of other religious buildings. So I think they should be clear enough what they are claiming. If you are claiming anything, just stick to it. Just say those things. Why are you changing the statements? They say that we feel threatened when 70 to 80 students are coming to the mosque. I will just ask them, we have been coming to this mosque for past 7 years. Just tell us which of our action threatened you in those 7 years. And that action threatened you, why haven't you reported to the police? Because as far as I know, the Korean psyche, they won't tolerate anything like this. They don't even tolerate our noise. If some of our friends gather in our houses and we make a little gossip and we make a little noise, they suddenly directly they came to us and they say, stop it. You are disturbing us. So on one side, you cannot tolerate only noise. On other side, you say that we are like we have accepted you, and just because we thought that you are poor students and you have left your countries and like and so I don't think so this is reasonable. If you are claiming anything, just prove it. If we have threatened you, we have been here for past 7 to 8 years. What have we done that have made you realize that we have threatened you? So these things are like quite unreasonable, and I think that every claim still like we are trying. We still say that if there is something that is a genuine problem, like you said that there is noise, so okay, we accept it. We accepted that it might be a genuine problem, so we provided the solution that we will install soundproof windows. So anything genuine, we are ready to accept it. Just sit with us, talk to us. But if you say that your existence is a problem, so sorry to say this is not what we can resolve. Then you could ask the Korean government that stop getting Muslim students, because we as a Korean society are not accepting Muslim students. So that the world also know how Korean people are reacting to Muslims. But if not, it is not that case, then we cannot change our existence.
That the residents are now claiming about your existence itself.
Yes, yes,
Cultural or racial, everything like that.
yes, exactly.
Okay. So the next question is, you said the outsiders that you have never seen is coming to the construction and doing the protest together and something like that. So I would like to know, I think there might be some politicians or journalists or something, like those people are. So what did the outsider, which role do the outsiders play, and how they affected the conflict?
So about the media people, like the journalists, so I think as a general, they didn't did anything that can worsen this issue. So like, because we are following some reports and whatever is published regarding that, so I usually check it, what kind of content is being published or what they say about our issue. So I think there is like nothing that which they misinterpreted us, or like what we have said and they have misquoted it. So I think the role of media is positive regarding this issue, apart from two or three cases. Like there was a report, I think a few days ago. I also emailed that reporter there, from where you got this information. So they actually, she mentioned that Muslim students are likely to meet them, and they are agreeing to move away from this place, although it was not decided. And we didn't even thought about it, but she mentioned. So I emailed her, but I didn't got any response from her, that from where she got this news and how she published it. So apart from these one or two incidents, the role of the media is okay, and it's quite neutral. And the second thing is about politicians. So actually, the role of district office. So we are very disappointed from the role of district office, because in the initial phase, when we didn't went to court, so we were involved in negotiation, and district office had to play the role of the third, like the mediator between the negotiation. But actually, what we felt was like they are a party. They are actually favoring the residents in this issue. And also, like when there was at one time, they offered us, the district office offered us, that how about if we provide you some alternative place, so can you go there? So at that time, the representatives of our Muslim student community who were sitting in that meeting, so they told them that actually, if there is an alternate options, so there should be some conditions. There are some of our conditions should be fulfilled in that alternate option. Then we can think about that whether we can move to that place or not. So, like for example, as I said earlier, that we are students, so the other alternate place should be on walking distance, and there should not be any major road crossing between the mosque and so it should be around the KNU gates, and it should be on walking distance. So first thing, and second thing was like it should be at least that much large as our this mosque. So how much space is this? So at least it should be this much space, because we are constructing it to accommodate our students. So it will not be any beneficial for us if you give us a small space, because the problem will remain the same. Our students will not be accommodated in it. And like thirdly, that we have already invested our funds here, so we don't have any other money left. So the government will build that place for us according to the structure of mosque. So if these conditions, and there were I think one or two more conditions, so four or five conditions, and those were logical conditions. Like if you see those conditions, so it was our right, because if we have got the legal approvals from the government, after that we invested our funds. So if Korean government haven't allowed us in advance, so how could we have invested? So we invested our funds, and we are students, we don't have that much funds, so we asked for these. But when we moved out of that negotiation, luckily we had a Korean professor in that negotiation, and she was actually translating for us. So on the next day, she texted us that the district office have misinterpreted what we have said there. So she sent us some news links, and all over the news it was like Muslim students agreed to move away from this place. And there was nothing mentioned about the conditions or like whatever it is, but just agreed to move away from this place. So from that point and onward, like we lost our trust in the district office. So this is something like which we never expected that a government institution can do this to us.
It's really disappointing. The next question is, conflict is now ongoing. So please tell me, what do you think is a realistic solution to solve the current problem?
So first of all, the neighbors should be like segregated from the third parties who are cashing this opportunity, because what we strongly believe is that the problems of residents are other than the problems of the people who are protesting with them. So some people, some third parties, uh, they are cashing this moment and they are using it for their political or religious benefits. And that's why we see in their demonstrations of the protests that they are chanting against Islam, and they are chanting against and they are promoting Islamophobia rather than focusing on the mosque construction issue. So like when we talk to the resident, not we cannot talk to the residents, but when I see like how residents respond to the mosque problem is like one lady said that during the construction there were some cracks in my house and my wall got cracked. So now this is a genuine issue, and this is what we are ready to talk about. And this is what we talked even before it. Like when we are doing construction, of course there will be some problems, and during the construction maybe your street gets damaged, somebody wall gets damaged. So after the construction is finished, we will we will again construct the wall for them. We will fill. So these are logical things, and we are ready to negotiate based on these things. So the first thing is like neighbors should be in negotiation with us, not the religious parties or the political parties who are backing and cashing this opportunity, so that we can address their actual issues. And this is, I think, the realistic approach. They should sit with us, the neighbors should sit with us, and someone who can be trusted by both the parties should mediate between us. And then we will ask the neighbors that, okay, tell us something that is solid, like the problems that you can face. So, and it should be logical. Like if you say that our existence is problem, so it's not our problem. We cannot solve it. You can ask it from the government that move away these students from Korea. But if there is something genuine that is regarding to the mosque, so yes, we can address it. We will address it.
The next question is, so there are many Muslim students now coming to the Korea, so I think there should be an effort to coexist in Korean society. So what efforts
Yeah.
do you think the Muslim and Koreans should make to coexist?
Yeah. So actually, in my opinion, it's the job of the government to introduce some programs in which like the culture, because actually it's quite natural that if someone from outside is coming to your country or to your city or to your near your home, and you have some doubts about what kind of people these are, or how these people behave with other people, or what kind of culture they follow. So it's quite natural, and I don't blame the Korean people for it. So I think the Korean government should think about it, that if they want to make Korea as a place where they can accept diversity, and what they claim in the slogan, therefore Daegu, that they accept the diversity. So they should introduce some programs in which they like give exposure to the Korean people about the Muslim culture and what is the Muslim, or like there should be some events in which some Korean people can meet Muslims and they can like get to know each other. Actually, one of the main problem is the communication gap. So Korean people usually cannot speak English, and we as a student cannot speak Korean. So usually we cannot communicate that much. But those Korean people who are in contact with us, like our lab mates, our professors, so they know much about us than the people, although we are living with them, but we cannot communicate with them. So this is also a big problem. So I think the government should think about how to resolve this issue, because being a student, like if I talk about myself, I cannot give too much time to learn Korean because of the lab schedule. You have research deadlines, and it doesn't allow us to focus on learning Korean or something else. So I don't know how to solve this problem, but maybe government can do anything about it, introduce some programs, and getting exposure to the Korean people about the Muslim community. And thirdly, this will be my request to the Korean people, that it's uh, all around the world, it's a standard that if you want to know about anything, you should consult the experts of that field. So if I, for example, if I want to learn about computer science, of course I have to consult some professor or some computer science expert, not some physics expert, or not, I will not rely on the news of media channels, how they portray about computer science, because they are not the experts. So similarly, if you want to learn about what is Islam, what is, if you have some doubts about some specific portions of Islam, like I have faced some questions in interviews, like what is the Sharia law, and people are terrified by the Sharia law. So I think this is the problem of, because they tried to understand Islam from the perspective of the mainstream media. So mainstream media is not a reliable resource, and it can even bite you. As a Korean, it can even bite you, because if the people who are sponsoring the mainstream media today, they decide that make the South Korean people as villain, they will make some movies about you in which they will portray you as villain, and people outside the Korea will believe that you are a villain. And just as an example, Japanese media will talk evil about South Korea. North Korean media will talk evil about South Korea. So it doesn't mean that South Korean people are bad, but it is that if someone is looking through the eyes of that media, of course you will be considered as an evil. So this is what my request is like. Try to, if you have some confusion, if you have some doubt about Islam, if you are concerned about some specific portions of Islam or overall Islam, just try to find someone who is closely connected with the religion and who understand the religious beliefs. So, and then ask him whatever question, and he will explain to you, right? So this is what I think it can help them. It can help them better understand Islam.
Just like I contact you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thanks for your great idea. These are the end of my questions. So wow, time flies so fast. Okay, so it was a great pleasure to have an interview with you. So, and again, thanks very much for your time sharing.
Yeah, no
It
problem.
was a great time. So have a good day and thank you very much again.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay,
No
you can
problem.
leave now. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.